Hello, welcome back to Yoga with Paige. Today we have a nice legs and lower back flow. So whenever you're ready, grab your mat, unroll it, and let's get started. Today we will be beginning on our backs, so we can find our way to our backs, keeping the soles of the feet on the mat. Just taking a few moments here to check in with ourselves. Maybe taking the hands to the belly, starting to notice the breath. Checking in with our bodies, our minds, our spirit, how we're feeling today. And gently raising the knees, hugging the knees into the chest, finding a slight rock here. And taking the knees into some circles, maybe going one way and then the other. Finding some hip mobility here. And taking the hands to the backs of the thighs, gently rocking up, finding our momentum, and coming up onto all fours, coming into tabletop position, grounding through the fingertips, firming through the tops of the feet. Inhaling to drop the belly, and exhaling to round through the back, pressing through our foundation. Inhaling to rock forward, dropping the belly. And rocking back, rounding through the back. Dropping the head. Moving with the breath. Ending in tabletop. Taking a cycle of breath here. And then taking the left leg, extending it behind, pointing the toes, and turning to the side of the mat. Shifting, turning onto the inside edge of the left foot, or whichever leg you have extended out, coming onto the right knee, rolling up through the back, ending with the shoulders. And reaching, extending that left arm down towards the foot, reaching the right overhead, trying to reach the wall beside you, getting a nice stretch, flexing the foot, pointing the toes up to the ceiling, and using the core, planting the right hand, reaching over with the left, finding a nice side body stretch. And raising back up, gliding the left hand back down the leg. Keeping the chest nice and lifted. And planting the right hand this time if we would like to extend the left arm to the ceiling and raise the left leg, coming into a half moon variation. Firming through the leg, pointing the toes, and gently releasing back down to the mat, sweeping the arm around, coming to face the front of the mat. And taking that right leg back to meet the left, plank position. Sending the hips back for our first downward facing dog, walking the hands out in front, spreading through the fingers, pedaling through the feet. Maybe planting the heels and twisting the hips to the left side. And coming back through downward facing dog, pedaling the feet. Planting the heels and sending the hips to the right side. And one more time, pedal, pedal. Hips to the left. And walking the dog. Hips to the right. Coming back through downward facing dog. Gazing at the hands, bending the knees, and gently walking the feet slowly up to meet the hands. Keeping a nice bend in the knees and folding over the legs. Taking a breath here, nice deep inhale and exhale through the mouth. And inhale, reverse swan dive. Hands, palms come together. Inhale, slight back bend. And exhale, hands come through center to forward fold. Inhale, catch a wave. Long through the crown of the head. And planting the hands, stepping back one foot and the other for plank. Slowly lowering to the belly. Untucking the toes, coming into cobra. And tucking the toes, sending the hips back for downward facing dog, coming onto the elbows for dolphin. And coming onto the knees, gently raising back up to tabletop. Inhale, dropping the belly, and exhale, rounding the back for cat. Inhale, cow, and exhale, cat. One more round, moving with the breath. And meeting back in tabletop, extending the right leg behind and turning to face the side of the mat. Flexing the right foot, may need to readjust the knee. And inhaling, stretching over the right side. Planting the left hand, reaching over the right. Coming onto the inside of the right foot. And using the core to switch sides, walking the hand down the leg. And option again to come into half moon variation. And sweeping that arm around, coming back to face the front of the mat, tucking the toes, and sending the hips back for downward facing dog. Finding space between the hands and the feet. Gazing at the hands, bending the knees, walking the feet up to meet the hands, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, stepping back to plank. Taking a vinyasa here, hugging the elbows into the sides. lower, and inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, climbing over the toes, sending the hips back. And grounding through the right leg, lifting the left, three-legged dog, flexing the foot. Taking the knee in through the chest, bringing it to the outside of the left elbow. Sending back, three-legged dog. Bringing it through the chest, this time touching the right elbow. Sending it back. And bringing it through the chest, this time planting it in between the hands, coming into low lunge. Inhaling the arms above the head. And exhaling, opening to the left side, revolving, finding a nice twist, sinking into the hips. Sending energy out through the fingertips, taking a few breaths here. And planting the right hand on the inside of the foot, taking the left up to the ceiling. Maybe taking the arm behind, opening up the chest. Or lifting up the right foot, catching the ankle, getting a nice quadricep stretch. Gently releasing the ankle if we have it, taking the left hand all the way around, framing the foot, shifting the weight back, half split. Flexing that left foot. Nice exhale. Inhale, shifting the weight forward, low lunge, lifting the chest. Maybe sweeping the arms up, cactus arms. Sinking into the hip, keeping tension in the legs. And bringing the fingers around to frame the foot, half split, exhale. Inhale, coming into low lunge, tucking the toes, lifting the back knee, runner's lunge. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead and around behind the back, framing the foot, stepping back for plank. Slowly lower down to the belly, take your time, use control. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk or jump up to the front of the mat, forward fold. Reverse swan dive, palms come together, forward fold, hands come through heart center. Inhale, catch a wave, flat back. And exhale, plant the palms back into plank. Take a vinyasa, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Grounding through the left heel, raising the right, three-legged dog. Taking the knee into the chest, reaching for the outside of the right elbow, and sending it back. Knee to the left elbow, squeezing the navel and sending the leg back. Bringing the right foot between the hands, lowering the left shin, low lunge. Big inhale and exhale, revolve, open to the side, spreading the fingertips. Sinking into the hip. And planting the left hand on the inside of the foot, raising the right to the ceiling, opening through the chest. And picking up the left foot, ankle, maybe using a strap. And releasing the ankle, taking the arm around, framing the foot. Lifting the left knee, taking the right leg back into plank. Lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Gaze at the hands, walk or jump up to the front of the mat. Stepping hip width apart, bending the knees, inhaling up for chair, grounding through all four corners of the feet. Sinking back into the hips, rolling the shoulders back, lifting up onto the toes. Using the breath here, squeezing through the glutes, the quadriceps. Inhale and release. On the exhale, back down to the heels. Palms come together. We revolve to the left side. Elbow coming to the opposite knee. Gazing to the side or behind. And gently release, keeping the left knee bent, picking up the right ankle, crossing it over the knee, standing figure four. Finding our balance here. If we would like to use a block or the mat for stability, we can do so. Grounding through the foot, hands at heart center. Flexing the right foot, protecting the knee. Taking one more nice deep breath here. And gently taking the right ankle, stepping back, inhaling the arms above the head, high lunge. Circling the arms behind, framing the foot, stepping back into plank. Lowering down, taking chaturanga, inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pedal out the legs. And gaze at the hands, walk or jump up to the front of the mat. Feet hip width apart, inhale up to chair. Find our foundation here through the feet. And then shift the weight forward, up onto the toes, lifting the heels. And exhale, releasing back down to the heels, palms come together, we revolve to the right side. And gently release, taking the left ankle, crossing it over the right knee, standing figure four. Flexing the left foot. Finding our balance, grounding here. Keeping the chest lifted. And releasing the left leg back into high lunge. Inhale. And exhale, sweeping the arms back around. Framing the foot, stepping back, lowering to the knees. Coming back into child's pose. Opening the knees to the sides of the mat, sinking down, wide-legged child's pose. Reaching out with the fingertips, letting the heart sink into the mat. Taking a moment here to notice how we feel. Raising back up gently onto the hands, taking the feet out from underneath and extending them out to the sides, coming into frog pose. Maybe widening the knees. Sitting here if this feels good. If we can go further, if we want to go further, come down onto the elbows. Maybe find a little rock here. Lowering down to the chest, to the forehead. Breathing deep into the belly. And gently pressing back up onto the elbows, onto the hands, gently taking the knees back onto the mat, coming into tabletop. And we're going to scoot our tabletop over to the right side so the pinky is lined up with the edge of the mat. And grounding through the left foot, the left leg, raising the right behind, pointing the toe. And crossing it behind, coming into cow face legs, coming back to sit on the sit bones. Inhale to lift the chest and exhale, walking the fingertips out in front. Folding over the legs here. Finding little wiggle room. And gently coming up onto the knees, uncrossing the legs, moving our tabletop to the left side of the mat, and raising the left leg in the air, pointing the toes, firming through the fingers, the arms, and bringing that leg behind, crossing it behind the opposite knee, coming back into cow face legs. Inhaling the arms above the head and bringing the hands through heart center, folding forward. And coming back up, gently uncrossing the top leg, extending it out, scooting to the middle of the mat, opening the legs for straddle. Finding what feels good here. Inhaling the arms above the head, exhaling through center, taking a moment. And releasing the hands, walking the right fingertips down the leg. Inhaling the left arm above the head. Reaching, finding a nice little stretch in the side body. And exhale, turning to the leg, folding over the right leg. Maybe arms come just inside the shin. And walking the hands to the other side. Taking the right arm above the head. And gently turning to the left side, framing that foot. Taking the forearms to the inside of the leg. And gently walking them to the center, rolling up through the spine. Gently taking the legs into the chest, crossing them in front. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. I'll see you next time. Namaste.